This has Avs fans fired up, as a quote from a very notable figure in the world of the Colorado Avalanche just days before the start of the NHL season has Avs players, coaches, fans, and everybody involved in the organization fired up and ready to go for the start of the NHL season, in which the Avs are destined to do great things and make a very deep run in the Stanley Cup playoffs and prove that they are a team that is a legitimate contender, not just in the regular season, but in the playoffs, and a team that can get past the hump of the first and the second round of the playoffs. Welcome into Avalanche Digest, everybody. Very exciting stuff as we have the start of the NHL season in less than 24 hours. More notably, we have the start of the Avalanche season in less than 24 hours. The Avs facing off against the LA Kings to kick off the 2025-26 season tomorrow at Crypto.com Arena. We've made it to the end of the offseason. I'm so proud of everybody that had to get through what I think is the worst time of the year because there's no hockey going on, but we've done it. We're finally back to hockey, which is starting up tomorrow. And, you know, in this video, we're going to be talking not just about this quote from this Avalanche figure that's, you know, got the team fired up and putting good vibes in everybody's mind heading into the season, but we're going to be going through some roster breakdowns. We're going to be going through some notable conversation topics as we get set for the start of the season. Before we do that, though, I want to real quick remind you guys to make sure that you're subscribed to Avalanche Digest. This is the perfect time to join the Avs Digest family. The season is about to start. Things are going to ramp up. There's going to be a lot of really exciting stuff to talk about. And so now's the perfect time to make sure that you are not a part of that 73, almost 74% of our viewers who are watching our videos on a daily basis that are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're not subscribed, join the Avs Digest family, join the community. Thank you guys for your support. If you are subscribed, like I said, this is the most perfect time to subscribe and join the channel, join the family. Gotta make that quick decision, make that quick move, and subscribe. So thank you guys for your support. Without further ado, let's dive into the conversation around Erik Johnson, who recently announced his official retirement from the National Hockey League. And the quote that he had in his retirement press conference just earlier today on Monday, October the 6th, that has Avs fans dialed in, fired up, and ready to go for the season. Erik Johnson had a lot of things to say about his retirement and about the fact that he will not be playing hockey anymore. Talked a lot about how much he loves the Avalanche, how much his career and his love for the game in the NHL has revolved around playing for such a great team. And, he talked a little bit about what is to come for the future, which we will dive into that a little bit as well. But the most notable thing that came from his press conference is Erik Johnson had to say, I'll be cheering for this team, this city, and this incredible fan base for the rest of my life. Now, obviously, Erik Johnson wasn't drafted by the Avalanche. He was drafted first overall by the St. Louis Blues. And he obviously ended his career with the Avalanche, but more notably played with some other teams before the end of his career after getting traded. But the majority of Erik Johnson's career was in Colorado, and he achieved a feat that every single hockey player dreams of achieving, no matter what level you're playing at. He won a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche. So the fact that he is showing his full commitment and his full dedication to this team, this organization, after what I think was a remarkable career for him, it's exciting for him, and it's an awesome, reality to think about for Erik Johnson, but it also is a very motivating factor for the Avs, considering the fact that a guy who just called it quits on his career after an amazing tenure playing in the National Hockey League, the fact that he is, sticking around in Colorado and that he's getting ready to rally behind this team, that is going to be a massive motivating factor for everybody in the locker room that loves EJ so much, that speaks so highly of him. I mean, in the media, Nathan MacKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Cale Makar, all those great guys that are on the roster had such good things to say about Erik Johnson and how they, love him so much and are going to make it everything in their priority to be connected with him in the future. And so the fact that, in his press conference, Erik Johnson showed his dedication is very notable and very exciting for not just Colorado Avalanche fans, but for the team specifically. And then something else that I wanted to note, I talked about this and, kind of predicted it a little bit in a previous episode on Avalanche Digest, but Erik Johnson isn't just going to be dedicated and, staying loyal to rooting for the Colorado Avalanche. He's going to be involved in the organization, and he's going to be very close by, even though he won't be on the ice playing. Erik Johnson says he'll be doing studio work for Avalanche broadcasts with Altitude Sports, as well as some color commentary for DU and Air Force games. He also says he'll work with Danny Briere and the Flyers a little bit too to help them out. But he will primarily be spending his time working and surrounding himself in the world of Colorado Avalanche hockey. So he won't just be rooting for the Avs from a distance. He will be around the team, motivating them and continuing to be that EJ that we all know and love, which is huge for the Avs. I mean, heck, maybe we'll even see him out on the ice as a ice patrol person, whatever those people are called. He said in a press conference when he got traded last year from the Flyers, he made a funny little joke that he'd shovel ice if that's what they wanted him to do, because he was so dedicated to being a part of this organization. And here we are, full circle. He called it quits and capped out his amazing career, but we're still going to see him around. We're still going to see him within the locker room. Okay. So talking about how, EJ had all these great things to say. He's going to be a primary motivating factor in this team. With that, let's dive into the full 23-man roster, from forward lines to D lines to guys that made the roster that aren't on the lineup as of right now, and just talk about everything around this team, how some preseason stuff shaped who's going to be playing where and who made the roster. So let's just go, let's just go top to bottom here and talk about everybody on this team. So we got the first line. We got Nichushkin on the left, MacKinnon in the middle, and Marty Necas on the right. I highly suspect that Lehkonen and Nichushkin will be trading between that first and that second line. This is obviously not the end-all, be-all first line for the Avs, but just looking at the roster and what we're working with as far as the top six go, and in this case, the top line, obviously you've got MacKinnon, who's in contention for winning the MVP award, as well as, other really notable awards every single year. You've got Marty Necas, who's considered a top 20 player in the league. He's looking to re-sign potentially, as well as he's on the latter half of his contract. And then you've got Val Nichushkin, who, if he's right-minded, he is a phenomenal hockey player. So keeping an eye on Nichushkin and what he hopes to accomplish as well. And then you've got Gabe Landeskog, amazing storyline as well, coming back from that very long injury break that he had to overcome with the cartilage surgery and the knee injury that he had going on all the way back in 2021. We're going to get Landeskog hopefully for a full season, and he can be a very strong force. And he also is just a guy that you want to have around on the ice for, leadership purposes. I mean, you saw him drop the gloves after Cale Makar took a gnarly hit to the elbow at the start of the preseason. That is just a guy that you want to have on the ice, no questions asked. Brock Nelson recently signed a ticket for a few years with the Avs, so having him around is going to be very nice. And then, of course, we talked about how Artturi Lehkonen very well can be a top-line player, but we may see him trading up and down between the bottom six as well. Now looking at the bottom six for forwards, Ross the Boss Colton, he was on pace to be one of the top goal scorers for the Avs at the start of last season, got plagued with a tough injury, but hoping that a healthy Ross Colton for the majority of the season is going to be a huge piece of the bottom six for the Colorado Avalanche. Jack Drury, who of course came in the blockbuster trade deal from the Carolina Hurricanes, and then the newly signed Victor Olofsson. He's kind of on like a quote unquote prove it contract with the Avs. If he has a good season, if he fits in well with the system, if he's coached well by Jared Bednar, we could see him sticking around on the bottom six for a little bit longer. So that's an exciting line as well. And then Parker Kelly on the left, Zakhar Bardakov in the middle, and Yoel Kiviranta on the right for that bottom fourth line for the forwards. That's a very exciting fourth line. And I think that this team has a pretty solid bottom six and a lot of depth up and down on the forward sheet for the Colorado Avalanche. Looking at this depth chart here, go all the way to the bottom, skipping the defense for just a second and talking about the guys that made the roster that are just not on the 20-man 4-line roster, or, the defensive sheet, depending on what position they are. You've got Gavin Brindley, who had a really good preseason showing. He's a prospect who came in a trade with the Columbus Blue Jackets during the offseason. He's a guy that I'm definitely keeping my eye on. I'm excited to see the potential of him getting his feet wet and getting some games in the NHL, because he looked really good in the preseason. And then on the right there, Ilya Solovyov, he came from the Calgary Flames. He was just recently picked up off waivers. That's a very exciting pickup and a very exciting potential for a guy to, be on the roster and get his feet wet a little bit in the NHL as well. He's got some games with the with the Calgary Flames playing in the NHL, but that is another exciting roster add. And then you've got Prichpov on the bottom. I personally don't know a ton about this specific player, but great that he made that I'm used to talking about football, not 53-man roster, 23-man roster, and the Avs forwards and just kind of that whole circulation of the system is looking very strong. Okay, let's turn the conversation to defense. Obviously, you've got Taves and Makar, one of the best defensive pairings in the league. Sam Girard and Josh Manson. Sam Girard, not sure if he'll be sticking around long-term, but he's definitely in kind of a prove-it standpoint as well, as if he wants any chance at sticking around and re-signing, he has to prove that he's, a legit defenseman that can stick around and continue to work with this system. Josh Manson on a good contract right now. He's a very solid defenseman as well. And then the D pairing I'm most excited about is Sam Malinsky and Brent Burns. You've got a vet player in Brent Burns who has played for a ton of time in the NHL, alongside a guy in Sam Malinsky who's really starting to get his footing in the league and prove that he's a legitimate defenseman in the NHL. I think that we have great defensive depth as well, and I think that's very exciting for the Avs. And then for goalies, you've got Scott Wedgwood and Trent Miner right now. Mackenzie Blackwood on the latter half of a very minor injury, nothing to be concerned about. And I think that Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood are going to be a very strong goalie tandem in the NHL this season, barring that Mackenzie Blackwood can, get through whatever this injury is and finish off, the recovery process and be back and ready to go by the time the NHL season is fully underway. And with that, a notable aspect about Blackwood, he joined the Avs for the start of practice. That was this morning, and that's a new development in the conversation around Mackenzie Blackwood. I know there's been a ton of conversation and a ton of speculation that he was going to be ready and that he was going to be completely fine for the start of the season. It's looking like he's moving in that direction, and it's looking like he is feeling like he'll be ready to go for the start of the season. But worst case scenario, if you have to rely on getting Trent Miner some games, he's not a horrible goalie to have as a resource while Mackenzie Blackwood is getting through what, like I said, is a very non-concerning minor injury. He just wants to be 100% and ready to go for the start of the season. All right, to close this video out, as we are literally on the cusp of the start of the NHL season, I am proud to give you my hot takes and hot predictions for the start of the NHL season for the Colorado Avalanche. Starting with this guy right here. My first hot take for the Colorado Avalanche is I think Cale Makar is destined for a 100-point season. Last season, he scored 30 goals. He was the first defenseman to do so since 2008, and he was just 8 points shy of 100 points. He's been close a few seasons with the Colorado Avalanche, and I think that coming off of a Norris winning season, he's going to find that gap, those 8 points, and he's going to score 100 points for the Colorado Avalanche. I think that Cale Makar has come in as a better hockey player for every single season with the Colorado Avalanche, and I think that he is continuing to be a very strong asset to this team. And I think that he's going to have one of his best seasons this year. And I think that we're going to see a 100-point season out of Cale Makar, which I'm very excited for. Hot take number 2. I think Mackenzie Blackwood is going to be a top 5 goaltender in the league. I think that his goals against average and I think his save percentage are going to be highly ranked amongst other goalies in the league. And I think that he is going to be recognized as the franchise goaltender for the Avs this year for the notable future. And I think that, like I said, his numbers are going to be in the top of the league as far as goaltending goes for the National Hockey League. I think he will be up there with some of the greats in the league right now, such as Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, Sergei Bobrovsky, Darcy Kemper, all of those guys who are consistently in the Vezina conversation. I think Mackenzie Blackwood is going to be right there, which is very exciting. And I'm really excited to see what he can do playing with the Avs for a full season on a contract that extends into the far future as well. All right, third and final hot take is this guy right here. I think Marty Necas will re-sign with the Colorado Avalanche in the 9 to 10 million average annual value range. I think that every single rumor in social media and in the world of hockey saying that he doesn't want to be with the Colorado Avalanche is false. I think he fits really well with the system. I think he gets along with all the guys. And I think that the Avs will do a great job from a business standpoint, getting him at a price that is good for us and our cap space, as well as what he feels strongly about for his worth and his career. I think Marty Necas will re-sign with Colorado this season. Very exciting stuff, you guys. We got Avs hockey back in action and in full swing tomorrow against the Los Angeles Kings. Now that the season is starting off, we will have you covered through all games, all news, all updates right here on Avalanche Digest. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you're tuned into our videos on a daily basis. Congratulations to each and every one of you who made it through the offseason. Avs hockey is back tomorrow, better than ever, and we'll see you guys there.